Hey guys, welcome to Podcast Fandom, the official podcast for ProjectFandom.com. I'm your host, Nina.
I'm Donald.
And I'm Kaylee. What?
Because you looked at me like you were just chewing really fast. You were like Annie when they looked at her and she was eating that pie and she just chewed faster and gulped in Attack on Titan. That's exactly what you... And it just made me laugh. I'm sorry. That's why we can't be in the same room where we record.
I'm eating a McFlurry.
Yeah.
Because I wanted one.
I don't even know what I said. Like, we just said our names?
But yeah, it was
okay.
There's nowhere to pick up from.
Alice in Borderland, Season 2, Episodes 7 and 8. That's what we're going to be discussing. They are the final episodes of the season, possibly the series. There is a lot to talk about. We should have dropped this podcast like 5 or 6 days ago for our time travel peeps, but we had some computer issues. Donnie got a new job. He is now an accountant. Excuse the fuck out of me. No more retail life for him.
Nope.
So he's been going into the office.
His desk.
I know. He's been like acting like a grown-up all week. So we had to push this back to record on the weekends. The prior podcast for episodes 5 and 6, that went up as scheduled for our regular premium tier. But you guys had to wait a little bit longer. Sorry about that, but thank you for waiting. Yes, there is a lot to talk about. Let me get some show stuff out of the way. This way, I won't regret anything later. Just so you know, again, if you're premium, you're listening to this mid-January, right? What was this, January 15th, 16th?
Today's the 15th.
15th, right? Because Friday was the 13th. That's right.
Friday the 13th.
That's right. So January 15th is when we're recording this, and when I'm going to put it out. I'm going to post it later today. So much stuff to tell you guys what's coming up. Let's start with the highest tier. The big money makers, the big spenders, the time travel folks, you select group of folks. Not only are you getting this before everybody else, but we are still covering exclusively for you 3 TV shows. One of them is coming to an end this week, The Devil's Hour, episode 6, the finale. We watched it. We loved it. There's so much to talk about. I'm so excited. The show is coming back for 2 more seasons. Yay. Episode 3 of Let the Right One In will also be up in the next day or 2 for you guys. And we are finally getting back to The Peripheral. I am just not really connecting with that show, you guys. But y'all voted for it, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to see it through. We're doing 2 episodes at a time. So later this week or next week, I think it's episodes 5 and 6, and then the final 2 the week after that. Boom. That's time travel people out of the way. Oh, no. You guys got one more thing coming up. Guess what we're doing tonight? Just for you. Tell them, Donnie.
We are doing a live reaction to... what the fuck's the name of that show?
Oh my god.
I don't know, but I need you to, like, your mic sounds nasty. I need you to, like, be still, sit closer, clean it up.
I'm as close as I can be.
Okay, there, that sounds better. Just however you are right now.
The Last of Us.
Yes, I was about to cuss you out. I was like, how the fuck you don't remember the name of that show? So The Last of Us is a HBO original series. It's a live-action adaptation of a video game that is exclusively, I believe, on the PlayStation. It has 2 games out. It's The Last of Us and Last of Us 2.
Like yesterday.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, I forgot that was even a thing. Because I never played the first one. But we will be covering the show on the podcast for our premium subscribers like we normally do, once a week. But the time travel tier will get first a video live reaction of me and Donnie sitting on a bed watching TV. When you put it like that, I can't believe you're paying for that, but that's what we're going to do.
You pay for similar stuff from other
Yeah,
people.
I do. I support some video reactors on Patreon. I support Core 4 TV and Blind Wave, but only while they're covering Dark. Because that's like one of my all-time favorite shows. And they're like weeks and weeks ahead. So when you're a subscriber, you get early access. Like you guys do. See, I get it. But I'm much better looking than all of those people. So
I don't know where that came from. That was just so unprompted.
Well, I'm just saying, I would understand why people would want to see me just existing, watching TV, consuming content. I'm aesthetically more pleasing, I believe, than the Blind Wave guys and the Core 4 TV guys. So, that said, we're going to be doing that tonight. That's going to be rough, though, because the show debuts at 9 p.m. Did
Your
they drop
bedtime.
it? I think they dropped it early. Because Jawan posted...
Jawan put up a post
Yeah.
that said it's here or some shit like that. Or it's finally here.
So I don't know if he just meant the day is here
I think
or...
he meant the day.
So
I haven't seen anything yet.
when we lived in Oregon...
we
You don't understand how much one of my favorite things about living on the West Coast was the fact that the Sunday night shows, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Walking Dead, all our big shows that we watched live on Sunday nights that come on at 9 p.m., we got at 6 p.m.
Before your bedtime.
But way before my bedtime. And the same thing with award shows. Like 5 p.m., they go 8 o'clock on the West Coast. So I would watch a 3-hour award show from 5 to 8. Everybody else would be like, oh, give out the last award. I got to go to bed. I got to go to work tomorrow. But I'm done. I still got my evening, my primetime evening to watch TV and stuff. I love that. Love it. No more. So I got to wait till 9 o'clock, which is like 30 minutes past my bedtime, and be camera ready at 9 p.m. on a Sunday night. Y'all might get reactions with my hair in twists and a bonnet with no makeup on and an old breastfeeding nightgown. That might be what you get because I don't know how many weeks I can put up with the makeup. Tonight, I will look presentable, but that's about it.
You're actually that be out there trying to get us some screeners.
HBO. See, the thing is, people fucked it up with Game of Thrones. So HBO got real
strict.
Yeah, with their screeners and stuff after those, remember those last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones? Like every week there was a leak for a different reason. Yeah. There was one week it was like HBO in Brazil or some shit aired it early, accidentally, like on Saturday instead of Sunday. So it's all kinds of wild shit, and HBO put a lockdown on. It's really hard. I can request Netflix screeners. I used to be able to. I just haven't done it in a while because we're not doing the editorial stuff. But I still have press access to all the sites. But in terms of like requesting screeners, Hulu, TNT, but I don't think TNT does original content anymore. But back when A&E.
They were until they just scrapped the one their last big show.
Yeah, the Snowpiercer. But I meant A&E. Before that, it was A&E because I was doing Bates Motel and oh my god, there was that one show about like the rednecks. Was it called The Outsiders? It might have been. Remember the redneck show? The people who lived out in the mountains, and one of them went and got him a black girlfriend in town. Yeah, that show was good. And then Underground. Yeah. About the Underground Railroad. They had a lot of good original content. So I was able to get screeners for that. I still am, although we stopped covering it, own screeners. So I was getting Queen Sugar screeners. I still get ABC, but we don't cover stuff on those networks anymore. Right. So, but anyway. So there's that. We covered time travel. You guys are getting video reactions and those shows. Plus everything else we cover, you guys get first. Then premium, like I said, The Last of Us, you guys are getting a podcast for that. That's me, Donnie, and John. We are covering some K-dramas. We're finishing up Flower of Evil. We just recorded for that. And after that, we're starting one called Glory. It's on Netflix. Everybody is raving about it. I cannot wait to start it. It's about bullying and revenge. It's like my favorite things. I don't like bullying, but like revenge on bullies is like my kink. I love it. Especially in K-dramas.
That's why I liked Week Class. We Hero Class. That's why I really like the manga.
Every time I think about the fact that Donnie once described Weak Hero Class as like Dawson's Creek, I want to divorce him. Because I was like, what were you watching? But anyway, so once Flower of Evil is done in the next couple of weeks, we'll be beginning The Glory. Again, it's on Netflix. In terms of, also The Mayfair Witches is a new AMC series. based in the Anne Rice Immortal universe, the same universe as Interview with a Vampire, which we also covered. We're covering that for premium folks. Hunters Season 2, Kaleidoscope. On the anime front, Kaylee and I just finished Chainsaw Man. We are into Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is like Pain Saw Man 2, because it's just pain. And I don't think it gets better. I feel like things I've seen on Twitter, people are like, yeah, no, that's...
It's not gonna... I don't think it's as bad as Chainsaw Man gets, but...
yeah, well... So, yeah, okay. It's hard to top that, to be honest, in terms of, like, this is fucking sad. But we're covering Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and Ranking of Kings with John. We're finally back on the train recording that this week. And a lot of good stuff. So head over to projectfandom.com to check the schedule tab. In the next couple of days, there will be another tab up on the homepage called Archive. When you click that, you'll have Nico.
I didn't know he was down.
I didn't know he left.
He was in here.
I thought Nico was in here too. Yeah, I thought he was on the floor chilling. I'm so sorry. I'm not editing that out. What was I saying? Oh, in the next few days, you'll see a tab on the website called Archive. And when you click that, it takes you to the old Project Fandom, where you can read the reviews that we used to do. There'll be links to the podcast that we put out from before, reviews for comic books, movies, conventions, all that stuff. All that content is back live on the internet. Yeah, that'll be there. I believe that is it. I feel like there was one more thing, and whatever. Alice in Borderland. The end. I don't know who wants to go. Okay, let me just say, episode 7, I have notes, so we're going to talk about it like we normally do, but the episode 8, I don't have notes, but I've seen it like twice now. I've seen people react to it. Well, only one. Most reactors are still in the 4 or 5 episode range because they're doing it weekly. But I will... that discussion for the finale, that last episode, will be more of a free-flowy discussion.
We can also just put the episode on if we need to.
Yeah, good point. I'll do that while one of you is giving your overall thoughts. Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Go.
Even though I don't know what I'm going to say.
Speak up, too.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, right, okay, because I was like, what happens in episode 7? Because I mainly remembered episode 8. Episode 7.
Episode 7? I'm sorry, let me shut up. It's your turn. Go.
That's the episode that started with Chi-Chi getting shot, right?
Yes.
And I was just like...
Yes.
I wasn't sad, I was mad.
I was so fucking mad.
Of this?
I was so fucking mad.
They just wanted to make him get shot because they knew he was the best character, and they just wanted to make people mad. Otherwise, I feel like there's absolutely no point. But I don't know. At least he didn't like die. So
Yeah.
A lot went on these episodes, and I'm just upset. Well,
Why are
I was
you upset?
gonna say no. I like the ending. I'm not upset with the ending.
Okay.
I like the ending. I was gonna say I'm upset Anne died, but she didn't.
Right.
So that's
Right.
Yeah.
So
nobody
right.
died.
yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. I'll talk about.
Grease.
Wait, I am like freaking out because I wasn't even gasping at that. Labyrinth. I did not know Labyrinth is on Netflix. Put this motherfucker in my queue.
Oh, did I watch this? You didn't watch this, right?
I don't know. I should have. Oh, it's already in my list. I should have.
Yeah. We watched this together a long time ago.
You remind me of the babe. What babe? The babe with the power. What power? The power of voodoo. Who do you do what? Remind me of the babe. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you made me watch it. I don't know why you made me watch it.
Because it's amazing.
Well, no, but I feel like there's like a specific reason. But yeah, we watched it.
Okay. Go ahead. Donnie's all fucking
wrestling with a dog.
Yes, and annoyed with us. Go ahead.
I like this show. I really do. Didn't you say you started reading?
Yeah, the manga. Mm-hmm. I have the first 2 volumes.
And there's also an anime, which I didn't know about.
And that's on my wish list. I want to buy it and watch it
on
eventually.
Blu-ray?
Yeah.
But Yeah, I mean, I loved it, and I do think there's room for season 3, but you were like,
Nico, will you shut up? And Donnie, or mute your mic. Jesus, go ahead.
You were like, I think we were in the car back from Grandma and Grandpa's because we went for like a night, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And we were in the car talking about it on the way home, and you were like, I was like, do you think there'd be like a season 3? And you're like, I hope not. And then I was like, well, I can see a season 3 happening if it's like a brand new cast of characters.
But by then,
we don't know what's going on. Just like
but
we
I don't
as
know
the audience know what's going on.
I don't know how interested I would be in that though.
They'd have
and
to come up with. I feel like they could come up with some kind of twist. I myself don't know what it would be, but I feel like they would. They could make it work if they wanted to.
Okay,
like
interesting.
There's room to be creative with it, but whoa, what the heck is that?
Just keep going.
Sorry, that anime looked interesting. It's a Chinese show. I could tell by the art style. That's weird. But yes, I liked it.
Okay, Donnie, you are allowed to unmute now.
If this dog behave.
Nico, come here.
He's in a playful mood.
Okay,
that's why. No, like the episode 7, I started watching, and the shit was just intense, and like so much was going on because we had just recorded for episode 5 and 6, and we all three said, "Oh, nobody's gonna die." And I was like,
"Yeah, we did say that."
There's too many girls. One of the girls are gonna die, and all of a sudden,
that's sexist.
They just started getting shot and shit.
Too many women. We gotta call this herd.
But I was like already almost halfway through the episode, and then Nina, you started watching, and I was like, I gotta go see somebody else's reaction watching this of what I just saw because it was just because I had just got to the point where the young girl, the high school girl, got shot, and I was like, I gotta see Nina's reaction to this because.
Can I just say, before we actually delve into it, that scene of them fighting the gun devil, as we call him now, was really like just so wild to watch because there was no music playing,
right? And
it was just them screaming,
yes,
and being so desperate to kill him. I was like, oh my god! And they're just getting stabbed and shot. And I was like, this is like a lot of emotion in it. Like I felt a pit in my stomach because I was watching it the entire time.
It's
it was just so good.
Just tell me when it's my go.
Go.
Just everything. I thought, to me, I still think episode 7 was the best episode of the series. Just everything with the action, the directing, the movement of it. It was just very fast paced, like fucking John Wick movie and shit. And just everything about it. And then you get to episode 8, and it was a kind of a different feel. But I just love how smart they were with knowing what the viewers at this point would assume was going on. And they wrote that into the show.
All the theories,
right? And I was like, oh, that's so fucking brilliant.
I love when shows do stuff like that. Yeah, me too.
They're like, God damn, they were always ahead of us.
Yeah, they're like, you think this is what you want, so we'll show you a little bit of it. Yeah,
but it was just I love shit like that, and then everything to come around and almost like that. And I know a lot of people hate Lost's finale, but it reminded me of that
me
too.
Me too. And that's like one of my all-time. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry just thinking about it.
But then the finale reminded me of that when we got to that very end.
Yeah, I agree. So I have a lot to say, and I'm gonna try not to but it was these 2 episodes made this series like one of my all-time favorite TV series. And episode 7 is probably one of my all-time favorite episodes of television. Definitely my favorite of the series. And remarkably, it was just so smart in so many ways, which we'll talk about when we talk about the details. But remarkably, by the time we got to episode 8, it made, for me, episode 7 better. And for me, there were hints of what episode 8 what the answer would be in episode 7 because of the way, Miko, hush, because of the way they weren't dying. Yeah. And at the same, and I remember thinking, this cannot be real. Like, whatever the answer is, this isn't really happening to their bodies because this isn't real. Like, and because it made no sense for people to have survived what they survived. And then, like, the show hadn't been that before. Right. Do you know what I mean? That's why for all of this, I thought, okay, it is ending. Like, I felt certain that whatever happened in 8, it would be the end of the series as we know it. Again, maybe it is something with another cast of characters or whatever, but which is fine. But I felt like this is ending, and we are absolutely, the answer, whatever the answer is, this can't be real. And I like the fact that at the end of it, what I mean about it making it better is that we learn in 8, no, it wasn't real. But what they were doing was, like, everything, that fight to live. Mm-hmm. Do you get what I'm saying? Yep. Knowing what this really was and knowing how long it actually happened in real life, like it was a minute of death. For all of this to play out, it just made it even more beautiful. So if you finish the series and you just go back and watch 8 and you watch the scene that Kaylee was talking about, at the end there with them fighting and trying to kill the gun devil, like it is people fighting to live and then later making the decision to live like the type of people they want to be, you know? Like even Naragi, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but like it makes sense to me that he lives. Do you get what I'm saying? It makes sense to me
because of the shit he's gone through to the point where he was like
right, because it was less about it wasn't about physical stuff at all, right? Like whether they lived wasn't, it had nothing to do with whatever injuries they got in the blast in real life, right? And it had nothing to do with the skill of the people trying to save them. It was always like an internal thing. And for him, you know, we saw his past of being bullied, right? And him believing that this is how he had to be. So like that speech, which we'll talk about in episode 7. But anyway, I say all that to say that it made a show that on the surface felt like it was just violence candy. It made it mean so much more. And in hindsight, and again, you know, I kept forgetting that it's based on a manga. Mm-hmm. So we shouldn't be surprised that everything meant something, that you could go back to season 1 and be like, oh, okay, this is why, because it was a show with this crazy kind of concept, but it wasn't going by the seat of its pants, which is, I think, the difference between that and Lost. Like, I don't know that when they started Lost, they knew, okay, ultimately, this is what the answers are going to be. You get what I mean? You can just feel like they had a complete story and everything meant something. I loved it. I loved it so much. Okay, so episode 7. Yeah, we need to set the stage. So I started watching this alone. Donnie started watching it in his room first, and you were ahead of me. And then I started watching it, and Kaylee was in her room, and she wasn't going to watch it with me, right? So I'm watching it, and when it gets to that Chishia getting shot part, you heard me scream, right?
Yeah, I was like, what in the world? It scared the crap out of me.
It scared the shit out of me. Yeah. What'd you say, Donnie?
I gasped.
I paused it. Went to your room, right? I was so mad. I was like, have you seen, what part are you up to? Oh, okay. But anyway, so let's talk about episode 7. Episode 7 begins with Naragi. See, I think I've had his name written wrong all this time. Naragi.
He got shot twice, too. I just remembered. He just lay there with 2 bullet wounds like the entire time.
And that's why, again, it makes sense that, like, you know, at the end of last season with Aguni and him surviving, even us, when they showed the announcement for season 2 and they were in it, we were like, why? Because they should be dead. How are they alive? This is so silly. Like, how are they going to explain that? But oops, sorry. It makes sense, again, because all of it, none of it was about what happened to them. It was always about their will.
Their will,
yeah. Hold on a second. Okay. Donnie, can you speak?
Speak.
Okay. All right, so I want to make sure I still recording. That's so badass.
Exploding blimp.
Okay, so Nuragi finds this man who had tried to kill himself, and it didn't work, and he wanted to be put out of his misery, and Nuragi refuses, determined to be awful to the end, he says. Mm-hmm. Which, I don't know, should have been our warning that actually that's not what's going to happen. He's actually going to decide to be a better person. So Anna and Quina are reunited, right? And then we see a montage of all of these different face card games going down, including theirs, which looked like some sort of laser tag with like laser balls they were throwing at other teams. Pit. Yeah, over a death pit. And
it was like dodgeball.
Yeah. So there's some other games. I mean, these people
that one on the rope, that just reminded me of...
That was crazy.
When you had that, I don't know if you had it when you were in school, but I had that when I believe, because I brought this up on Facebook probably a month or so ago about this rope, because they don't do it in schools no more. But like back when I was a kid in school, you had to do this rope thing in gym class, like climb the rope and ring the bell and all this shit. That was the toughest thing in gym class,
because it has the knots in it. You had to pull your body. Yeah, I could never. No,
yeah, I never had to.
And so these people doing this, I was like, nope. I would fall so fast and die in this shit.
Oh my god, I'm glad they stopped doing that, because if I was forced to do that, I'd just you don't have to fail me. I'm not doing that. I wouldn't even try.
So what was I going to say? The games that they were playing. Oh my god, there was one where it's just like people running through these narrow hallways and an animal was chasing.
Yeah. Did you ever see what was chasing?
No, they never showed it, which I thought was kind of cool, but it was like...
But it was like some kind of monster, wasn't it?
It was like a tiger. It sounded like a...
I feel like it had to be something realistic, like an animal.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was like a lion or a tiger or something like that, or a bear, but...
Because they haven't done anything...
Yeah.
Supernatural,
because they can't.
Yeah,
you get what? Because it's in their heads. It's what
yeah.
the people know, right? And there's also a game of mahjong.
Yeah, they have like collars on their neck.
Like I was like, oh man, I love mahjong. I was like jealous, like I can't just pull it up on my iPad. I was like, oh. And then we see, these people are winning, and their iconic scene that Kaylee just referenced of Quina and Anne walking
with the explosion,
the blimp explosion.
The bitch walk.
That's right. So it's at this point it is just the King of Spades and the Queen of Hearts left, right?
Yep.
Arisu runs into Chishia, and it looks like they're back at Shibuya Crossing. Yeah. Right. But it's now really overgrown.
Which that shot of the whole city really overgrown was really cool. In
the very beginning, it's so beautiful. I actually recorded it and posted it on Twitter to ask what people call that kind of like setting, that aesthetic. I'm going with urban dystopia, but go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it's interesting how this is all in their heads, and like the town's just overgrowing, like. I guess to make them feel like a lot of time is passing, definitely.
But also, you think about how your subconscious works, like in dreams, right? Yeah, how 1 minute you're here, and then the next... And when you try to tell people, you're like, so I was at work, and we were talking about this, and next thing I was at my grandmother's house. Like,
And I just feel like it's like their memory can't quite exactly remember so much detail about everything, so it just kind of fills it in by just making it overgrown.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is like interesting if you think about it, because it's like when you dream, like this whole thing, because technically they're dreaming, there's subconscious stuff, but like when you dream at night or you wake up in the morning, you go, oh yeah, I have this really vivid dream, and it could be this long ass thing, but technically your mind only dreams like 5 to 45 minutes a night, like no longer than 45 minutes, but what you remember. It'd be
like a whole lifetime.
It can last 45 minutes. It's just so interesting.
So yeah, Chishia and Arisu have this reunion in the middle of Shibuya Crossing, and Nuragi shows up and ambushes them. by shooting Chishiya right before he can tell Arisu this thing he's never told anyone else. And we're like, what? Are you a doctor? Is that going to be the thing? But, and then he challenges them to a shootout because he insists that all three of them are the same. And it's like,
where he got that from.
Right. We're like, how do you figure? But you get why he needed to, like, he was put in this position where he had to do these violent things, take place in these violent events to survive. And he finally got, like, a bit of power at the beach, like the guys who were bullying him. Mm-hmm. And I think he thought, like, this is the way to be. Otherwise, because the other way, I got shit for it. Does that make sense? And it feels like he's desperately trying to, like, in a weird way, have friends. Like, we should be the same. And he's dying. He has nothing to lose now, right? Well, within his head here, he's dying. Like, the coughing up of the blood and stuff. So, yeah, they have this shootout. Arisu feels guilt and refuses to shoot him. He's like, I'm not going to do this. And Usagi arrives. She's like, what the fuck y'all doing? And Chishiya's like, oh yeah, this bitch. Like, he's like, and he shoots at her.
Not Chishiya.
I'm sorry. Niragi. He shoots at her. And that's when Arisu finally shoots him, but not before Chishiya takes another bullet, this time on purpose to save Usagi.
I mean, I guess. I don't know.
I was so mad.
If you had to make me choose between Chishiya and Usagi, no offense to Usagi, but...
As he's dying, or so we thought, Niragi is like, if there were 7 billion of me, y'all would be the evil ones.
That's not how it works.
But I think I kind of got what he was saying, right? Like,
they would...
The majority gets to decide the behavior.
But that doesn't mean they're not evil.
That's true. I get it. I know.
I wonder if that was like a translation thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I don't know any Japanese to know how accurate this is to whatever he was trying to convey. So before Chishiya can die, apparently, the people start running up and the King of Spades, the Gun Devil blimp, arrives. And Usagi and Arisu decide, let's move them behind some cars. And I was like, them? Also, why? Are they still alive? So I'm sitting here with all this, like, hope in me.
I remember thinking the entire time, did they move both of them behind the same car? Or are they both just sitting there together in awkward silence? And like, both bleed out?
Like, what did they talk about, if so? Or if you're alone, what do? You have to lay there and pretend to be dead, right? Anyway, Usagi and Arisu are reunited with An and Quina, and everybody's it's just a madhouse of people running and getting shot.
Isn't this like a part where Quina's like, where's Chishiya? And then Alexi's like,
he'll be okay. And she's like,
I never bothered to tell her.
No. And she was like, of course, it's Chishiya. Of course he will be. An is almost killed, but Quina does one of her famous kicks and kicks the side view mirror off the car and hits the Gun Devil in the back of his head. I love her. Akane, what's her name? Heya? Akane Heya shows up and puts an arrow in the Gun Devil. Heya.
How do you spell
Heiya,
it?
I think. I'm just going to call her Akane. The other reactors call her by the H name. I just say Akane. She puts an arrow in him. We thought we saw our first Negro.
Yeah,
but I don't think it was. I think it was just a Japanese dude with like long hair that looked like locks or something. But it was funny because we see him get shot, but then later you see him like tussling with him again.
I think that happens with a lot of people. They're just like rushing at him even after they're injured. Because it shows a lot of people
we do get a lot of people rushing at him. There's a point where you thought everything was going to be okay because somebody came in with a car and crashed into him and the car exploded. Then everybody started end zone dancing before the end zone. And he just comes out the flames shooting. So our main group ends up huddled together in this kind of like entryway of like the subway or some area. And Aguni shows up. And it's interesting. I don't know if some people are watching closed caption or some people are just watching the English translation. But Nico, can you go away? But I've seen different translations for this. When Aguni shows up, because one, I thought it read to me like he died, but I couldn't figure out why he would have died because it looked like he had just passed out when he caught her. And it was like the kiss and all of that. And it's like, how does he not know she leaving? She wasn't trying to be quiet or anything. So I assumed he had died.
You both thought he was dead. And I was like, okay. I thought he was still alive.
So when he walks up and she's like, how did you find me? And not, why are you breathing? I was like, okay, she was leaving. And also that didn't make sense to me why she was leaving him.
I guess she wanted to try.
Anyway, he's like, I followed you. And in some translations, she says, I guess you like me, which is what we had. But then some watched this, she goes, I guess you do love me. I was like, oh, that's a difference. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't know what the writer's true intent was because I don't speak Japanese. So they come up with this plan because apparently, so I was like, where was Queena carrying that smoke bomb from the first episode? Them tight ass pants. But she does have like not like a fanny pack, but it's in the back and it's like it's almost like all it could hold is like a water bottle. Like, you know what I mean?
Just a grenade pouch.
Yes. So Arisu is going to lead the Gun Devil to, I actually wrote this in Korean. Yakup is a pharmacy because there will be lots of aerosol cans in there, which he intends to spray to get the fumes in the air so that the others can be the decoy and lead the Gun Devil into the Yakup, the pharmacy, and ignite with their guns this bomb, right? So Lord Jesus. So this is what they do. At first, Aguni's like, I will be the decoy. And then they're all like, no, we're going to go together. And I was like, okay, the Gun Devil's going to get fucked. Because this is the squad. So
that's what we thought.
Yeah. Oh, and I want to point out, Aguni mentioned that also drawing him like into the alley and stuff was to their advantage because the blimp was dropping down his ammo for him. So, and it just followed him around. So that's what happens. They lead him into these like alleyways and it's just wild. You have fucking Queena bum rushing him with a shopping cart, Akane, like they're like perched like cats on seals, her and Usagi. Anne's crouched down by, and they just take shots at him, but he's fully protected with like a bulletproof vest, which at one point he does take off. Like, I guess he's like, he gets hot. I don't know why you would take
to move more agile.
I guess. But it's like, you wait until you're up against people with actual guns and skills to take off. When it was just people running away from you in fear, you kept your bulletproof vest on. But anyway, so there's a lot of like, tagging basically. Somebody gets a couple of hits in and then they run from him and he shoots and, he misses them. And the first casualty is Akane stepping in to save Aguni from getting shot. And she is shot like vertically, like up her midsection.
Yep. Like nobody could survive this shit.
And I was like, wow.
Close range too.
Wow. Then Anne takes 2 in the chest. And I was like, they really doing this. Like, they are really doing this. And then he and Aguni go at it. This fight was so good. This is where he like picked him up and dragged him. He picked the Gun Devil up and dragged him along the wall.
They were tossing each other like they were fucking rag dolls.
He freaking at one point was tussling with him, and a Goonie was like emptying the bullets out of his clip. So he couldn't shoot more. And it's at one point where it's like the gun devil's about to break a Goonie's neck, and that's when Queena jumps in to save him, but she ends up getting stabbed 6 times. And like Kaylee pointed out, this was all screaming, guttural sounds.
No music, just panting, screaming, stabbing sounds, gunshots, fighting, agony. Brutal.
Usagi joins the fight after Queena gets stabbed. She gets stabbed in both of her legs.
It was just, you could tell they were getting more and more desperate because they were just watching each other get stabbed and shot, and they were like,
yeah,
we gotta end this now because we're gonna die at this rate.
Yeah. And it like, oh, this is so good. I mean, I guess we'll talk about it again. So anyway, and then Oguni like grabs like, he's like crawling for one bullet, which he finally gets, and he and the gun devil each get off one shot, but he falls over and his eyes are open and there's like a pool of blood gathering
shot, like right in the head.
Me too. Yeah, because there's like a pool of blood gathering under his head, so you're thinking, and now it's funny because like throughout all of that I just described, at one point it cuts to Arisu. He's just spraying shit in the pharmacy like an idiot.
You don't know what's going on.
No. And I'm like, he just doing this for nothing because everybody's dead. Like, he's just, I was so annoyed. I was so fucking annoyed. I was so sad. Because, like, it's really coming down. They really killed everybody this way. And there was, like, a moment, too, where I wondered, like, what that would do to his character. Because he was already feeling the guilt of Tata. And,
his friends.
Yeah. You know what? This just popped into my head because I saw it in the comment section of somebody reacting to it. So I'm going to say it now so I don't forget. In the episode where they were fighting, I forget what she was. But the game where the tag with the chess pieces,
the queen of
something clubs,
I think.
In that game, one of the guys there was the guy that Arisu saved on the bus.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Remember that episode where one guy got hurt? So he couldn't go with them, but it turned out they should have never left.
The guy who survived?
Yes.
Because it was just...
Oh, yeah, right, because at the end, yeah. Because he never left the bus. Yeah.
He was sacrificing himself, but he ended up being the only one who lived.
Yeah. He's in that episode.
Did they, like, bring that up at all on the show?
I want to go back and watch it now.
I was supposed to know that.
I want to go... And I think it might have... I think he might... Oh, Nico.
He's just laying there. I don't even think he moved.
Yeah, he did. I think he might be one of the guys in that conversation, like when they were all deciding they want to be better people and fight back and not have that kid die.
I wonder if we saw him in the hospital then.
I wonder, because they did focus on a couple of people that I was like, I don't know who that is. Like there was one girl in particular in the hospital in episode 8 that I was like, I'm supposed to know her, but I don't.
I said I thought it might be the girl that was with the little boy.
Right.
But
right.
I don't know.
But
that's the only other girl I can think of.
It definitely wasn't like, it wouldn't have been anybody that died in a game, right? Which we'll talk about the details of that later.
Like one of the game masters, or?
No, because like...
is that really not a black man?
Who?
The guy that we thought was a black man.
No, I don't think
because he's...
No. Oh god. The girl, like I'm thinking of like the girl in the blue dress that was manipulating everybody in the jacket. So Arisu finally arrives. He sees everybody like dying or dead, right? He is tempted to like shoot it out in rage, but he remembers the plan and leads him to the pharmacy, but he hesitates. He smells a trap. He probably smells all them aerosol cans. It smelled like deodorant and jocks and
Axe spray.
and foot spray and secret deodorant all mixed together. Hairspray. He was like, I'm not. He's like, it smells like Ulta in there. I'm not going in there. I hate the way Ulta smells. My God. Anyway. But then a Goonie shows up, and we're like, what the fuck?
He pushed him through the door. He said, you're going in there.
He said, yes, you is. And so he tell Iris to do what you got to do and jump out the window, which was the plan. But Arisu was like, you're coming with me, buddy.
It's like, too many people died.
Yeah. And so he pulls the pin, and it doesn't work.
No, I think what they were showing us was that he forgot to throw it or drop it. He was literally running with it and pulled the pin, and he jumped out the window with it still in his hand, so he had to turn and throw it back into the thing.
See, I thought it messed like something, because when he pulled it, the way he looked at it, I think
to me it looked like he didn't realize.
Oh no, you know what? I think pulling the pin, smoke was supposed to come out, and it didn't, and that's why he told him throw it, because he was like, I'll shoot it. I think that's what it was, because it was definitely a smoke grenade. Like whatever in it was supposed to be flammable, but it was supposed to release the smoke, and it didn't. Yeah. Donnie, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you so quiet?
I'm listening to you guys.
Yeah,
I will
we're
come.
just talking.
I'll come in there. No, you don't know. He'll be in there watching it's football season. I think it's like the playoffs.
We don't have cable, so we don't.
Well, I don't know what you got in there.
Playing his video games.
Right? I hear some clicking noises. So it blows up, and they all go flying out of the pharmacy, and all are still alive. Even the gun devil. And we even get a little gun devil backstory, as we see he was in the military and he had to kill one of his comrades. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It looked like he was in the American military.
Why do you keep saying that? Kaylee didn't think he was. Hold on. Kaylee didn't think he was Japanese. Yeah.
Until they showed him with hair.
Because I don't think he looks.
It's just like the guy that was with him in his platoon looked like a white dude to me.
I was gonna say on the TV it showed that clip of the scene of Queen shooting at him with a little pistol. She misses and she's like, "Can't you hit anything?" She throws the gun away, and I'm like, I mean, yeah. I'd still keep the gun.
And in here, when she's like, "Watch where you're shooting," and Anne's like, "I ain't gonna shoot you. I know what the fuck I'm doing." So yeah, Aguni has to put him down, and then he also is like visited, like he's gonna kill himself, but he's visited by
Mad Hatter.
Yeah. He tells this is weird, because he tells Arisu the others will be fine, just go do the final game. And I'm like, he saw them all.
Right. They were dead.
But so he ends up like picking up Usagi, like I said, because she was stabbed in both legs. But then like it cuts to both Nuragi and Chishiya laying there like, oh, well, good luck. And I'm like, well, never mind. All bets are off, because apparently Anne died, or An.
Oh yeah, it very much like she died.
Like, yeah.
I wasn't expecting to love the dynamic between Queen and Anne as much as I did.
Yeah. So let's talk about this finale. They go off to this Queen of Hearts.
Wait, can we talk about how also Akane, like, we thought she was dead when we see her crawling towards a Goonie.
Yeah.
Oh, girl.
Yeah, but then she like collapsed there.
That episode was Anne.
So, the final episode, the game is playing 3 rounds of croquet against the Queen of Hearts. And it doesn't matter if you win or lose any of the 3 rounds, as long as you complete the game all 3 rounds without quitting. And that's all he has to do to win. So, they play 1 round and she wins. They play a second round and he wins.
Right.
And then
it's tea time.
Then it's tea time. She's like, I am parched. So they sit down, and I was like, do not drink that tea. Like, I wouldn't drink shit this bitch gives me. And Arisu wants to ask her what happens. Oh, Jesus. What happens should they win the game? Like, what is this place? Why are they there? Will they go back home if they win? All of that stuff. Yeah. And she is fucking with him. And Usagi is like, stop asking her questions. Just finish the game. And that's when I was really starting to get frustrated with him. Because I'm like, yeah, just do it. Because
you'll find out.
You'll find out. She's only going to fuck with you. And that's what she does. So the first thing she says is that it's the future. And because technology has advanced the way it has, like, no one dies anymore. Like, people live to be really old. They've cured everything. So basically, the way to entertain themselves, they're fascinated with the time of now, which is a time where people die, there's diseases, and
there's risk.
Right. So they do
reality.
These games to right. And then she's like, right now you're in the system, and then they show it. Like, so there was like a moment where I was like,
oh shit.
But I didn't like it. I was like, I guess.
I was like, oh, this is like the exact plot of like another, like a video game I played before.
You were like, this is like the exact plot of like 15 other things.
It's like, I wasn't like, but I eat it up every time. So like, I don't mind. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, I guess.
But then she's like, oh, I'm just playing.
And I was like, oh, good. Like, that's cool.
It's actually this.
Before that part starts, when she's like about to like tell him that, and he like focuses on something in the bushes.
The camera.
That freaked me out because I didn't see it. Like, Donnie saw it right away.
I didn't see it right away.
And I was like, oh my God, what is it? I thought like it was going to be like somebody crouched there. Look, I don't know. It was so creepy to me. Okay. So then, sorry, I got the right timestamp now. Then the second thing is, what was the second lie? Aliens.
Because the one was virtual
aliens.
Reality.
Yeah.
And then,
the second one was aliens were forcing them to participate in these things while people were betting on it.
Yeah,
right?
That's the future one, right?
No, the first one was the future.
Yeah.
One.
Okay. This is the virtual.
This was just the first one was virtual reality in the future because people in the future were bored, and the second one was aliens,
right?
Forcing them to do it for entertainment.
And they were on a different planet
and studying them and stuff like that. So then she tells him what the truth is that she is his doctor and he's in a hospital and he's grieving over his friends.
Yeah. They show
Chota.
his friends being fucking hit by a fucking car.
Right. Now, that I'm not going to lie, that got me. Do you remember, Donnie? Yep. I jumped so hard.
Because even later on when they show the scene again, the right way, you were afraid that they were going to show it them gay.
I was like, because we were like, okay, this is what really happened. So I didn't know what really happened. I was so scared something like, I don't know. It was just, they did a good job.
It was still worse though than just getting hit by a car. Like, what really happened?
Oh my God.
Like, that's terrifying.
I can't even. So, okay, but let's back up. So she tells him he's in the hospital dealing with the grief of that. The grief of them being hit by this car because they were playing in the street, like what happened the day, right? As we saw in the first episode. And she's his doctor. And so we cut to them in this room, and they even say that Usagi, because even when she started floating this as the truth, Usagi was like, that's bullshit because I exist. I have memories. I have a past. I have a family. And even me and Donnie were saying, we've seen other people's POV. If all of this had only ever been Arisu, that would be easier to accept. but we've been in other people's past. We've been in, you know, almost whole episodes with hardly him in it. So we're like, okay, I guess. But then when you're in the hospital and Usagi's in the hallway, you're thinking, okay, maybe everybody who's in the hospital. There. Yes. So you're like, maybe?
And he just interpreted their stories into his...
Yeah, or maybe it's something the hospital is doing, like some sort of like experimental treatment or something. Like you're maybe thinking this is real. But then when she wants him to take this pill to quit, and Usagi steps in and is like, no. This is bullshit. She's so forceful in telling Usagi to get the fuck out that I was like, yeah, no, this can't be. There's even like a sketching, a black and white drawing on the crane. People playing croquet, yeah. And so to prove that this isn't real, and to wake him up, to get him to not want to quit, Usagi ends up slicing her arm.
Like, she lost so much fucking blood.
I don't even know how. Well, we know how, because she wasn't. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that brings us to him deciding that, I swear this is one of the most, I'm getting choked up just thinking about it, that the two of them talking to each other, that he wants to live, he wants to be there for her and with her. See, I think he fucked it up.
Yeah, he did.
And they're back, and this even touches,
because she starts crying.
Yeah, she starts crying.
The Queen of Hearts.
And they go back. Oh, this is so beautiful to me, this scene. And to finish the game. And they're playing like Into the Night. And it was so crazy to me. It's just something so beautiful about the fact that it never mattered who won or lost these rounds. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter for her who win or loses this round, because she's going to lose. Mm-hmm. Like, ultimately, we know it's going to happen. But, like, they were both still upset about missing shots. Happy about cheering when they got a point or whatever. Yeah, it was just so, you know.
Do you think it affects it at all that we don't know her backstory?
I don't want to know her backstory.
Because obviously she's like because of what they said changed her heart. Because she actually played till her third round. She was affected by what they talked about. But she's no different than everybody else.
Is she?
I think so. I think she is no different than everybody else, and she is one of those ones that decided to stay there because her life was so fucked up.
Okay, gotcha.
But not knowing how her life was,
to me, that implies that if you decided to stay, you understand what that place. You have answers,
right? Yeah, it felt like she knew what was going on,
right? Because when he says to her, "What is this place?" and she goes, "You will find out after you make, no matter which you choose."
Yeah.
And so you knew he had to choose between two things. You'll find out who you are.
So she was asked that question definitely before.
Right. So I'm like, and I guess that's, but I don't, right. So it feels like she knew.
I don't know if you know that you're in like purgatory though.
That's what I'm saying.
I just know that it's either you can stay here or go back to the way you were living before. But she didn't want to.
Right. But it felt like to me though, it feels like she knew what the other choice was.
Right.
I understand wanting to stay without learning what the deal is, but she's the only character that it felt like she knew where she was, why she was there.
Right.
And so for me, it does matter to not know her story or the details of that, because they played it as her being the only person we've encountered that knew what was going on.
Right.
So do you guys like her? Because I love her.
I liked her at the end. I don't know why. I felt like when she started crying watching that, and like them, saying what they wanted, Like, I want to do this with you. I want to do that. And she was like fighting every now and then. Ken would be okay too. And her crying through that, I did. And then I just thought the shot of her, the laser, the way they framed it,
really pretty.
It was just a pretty set. It was just everything about it, the lighting, it was just gorgeous in a really sad way. And so then the fireworks go off and they're all given a choice. And that's where we see everybody's alive except An. Like, even Akane comes crawling over. And I'm like, how the fuck did she find it? I guess she just went towards the pharmacy. I almost called it again. She just went towards the pharmacy and just kept crawling around. But she says she wants to leave. Aguni wants to leave. Obviously, Arisu and Usagi.
Chishiya wants to leave.
Chishiya wants to leave.
Hiragi wants to leave.
Surprisingly, Niragi wants to leave.
But I was like,
Chishiya
I feel
wants to
like
leave.
because it was surprising, I could see it coming. I'm like, he's gonna just to be like an kind of moment.
Yeah.
But
when he said he wanted to leave, then it went to Chishiya, and I thought, would Chishiya stay?
I feel like he would if he didn't play that game against Kuzuryu.
Yes.
And then
I
came
agree.
to that like realization.
And I think that's the whole purpose of this.
Yeah.
Right? Because the idea you definitely, I think, get is that they're going to live differently.
Mm-hmm. Those two guys.
And that's very heavy. See, I will say this. I started reading the manga. Now that I've finished this, I will say this. If they started the show the way they started the manga, it would have been so obvious what this was.
Really?
I think reading, and I'm not just saying this because I've seen it, reading this, I think it's way obvious what this place is because they talk about so much the fact that, well, I can tell you, Donnie, in the manga, Chota, Karube, and Arisu, they're terrible people. They are all three of them. And they're just shitty guys. Mm-hmm. And it's so obvious, right? Like, that this is about being a better person, if that makes sense. Because because they're so shitty, you don't have the fear that we had with these three in the show. Mm-hmm. Their first thing was, oh, this is fucking great. Let's go drink. Let's go do this. Then when they run into that woman, they're like, oh, beautiful women too. This is even better. So you understand, you can see where they're going to take like a personal journey. Mm-hmm. So something like Purgatory makes sense. But I'm glad they didn't do it that way. And it's not as obvious. And that they made them like real people, if that makes sense. With real
problems.
Instead of like, they weren't perfect. Yeah. But like he was cheating with the guy's girlfriend. But
he loved her and was like planning on proposing to her.
Yeah. And Arisu was just kind of like wasting away. I don't really know what Chota was just giving his mom money in her like religious cult.
Yeah, he was really
That's not his fault. Yeah.
He was just a goofy guy.
He was just goofy. But at the end, we see that didn't matter why they were there. Mm-hmm. Everybody who was in Shibuya. Tokyo. Right. So, when they decide to stay, who else decide? No, when they make their decision, I should say.
There's just two guys.
Those two guys. Yes. From the Jack of Hearts game.
Was it a Jack?
Yeah, it was a Jack.
It was a Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's Jack of Hearts.
It was a Hearts game?
I think so.
Yeah.
Those two decide to stay. See, and that's what I mean. Like, I don't think they get to
wake up.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. I don't think they get information.
Mm-hmm. No. They just stay and play the game. But I think
this even explains why he gets to see him.
They're going to be in season 3.
Will you shut up?
Ooh, that would be cool. It's still new cast of characters, but those two are the only characters that we've seen, and they're in season 3. And it's like, maybe we follow their journey of them finding out what's going on. I don't know.
So, it cuts to Arisu in the bar with his friends, and it's weird because, like, at first I was like, okay, is this like, are we gonna like see, like, I thought this was like another flashback at first, but then when Arisu makes a joke about if something fell on your head while you're using like a nose trimmer, like it would hurt or something. It would go up into your brain and it would hurt. Chota says, do you know what hurts even more? And it doesn't hurt as much as an explosion. Mm-hmm. That's when I realized, oh no, they're dead. And then he apologizes. I was like, what the fuck is he apologizing for? And that's when they were like, you couldn't have survived. Like, I bet he thinks he could have. There's not a single one of those games that you could have survived, like, if it wasn't for us or something like that. And they reiterate, or at least Karube does, that he should live his life, like, to the fullest. Mm-hmm. And then it cuts to that day.
And we get to see what really happens.
And you saw Usagi was standing a few feet away from him.
And apparently she was, like, there literally in episode 1.
Yeah. It was just blurred in the background. Yeah. Not in focus. Mm-hmm. Which is the type of thing you can do when you know the answer. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I love stuff like that. So they were all there at Shibuya Crossing that day. And...
yeah, we saw An and Chichia and Kuina.
Mm-hmm. And Aguni and his friend Tata was in a truck, driving a truck.
I think he's like a delivery.
Yeah, yeah. Niragi was there. And so we see them all there, and then there is fireworks, which our guys noted when they were running across the street, like right when they got to the sidewalk. But because they were running from the accident that they had just caused, they ran inside the station. Mm-hmm. And they didn't see what ended up being a meteor. Mm-hmm. And everybody like stops and watches, and wherever it hits, like the blast of it, like Tokyo. Yeah.
It looked like, I thought it was a missile.
I thought too. I thought it was going to be, but then when they cut to the news talking about it, I was surprised. I thought it was a missile too. I was like, good Lord, what America do now?
Like this whole show is just because of America.
Because of America.
Being terrible.
Jesus Christ. It wouldn't surprise me. But no, it was a meteor. And that world had been the ones whose heart stopped for. So I'm assuming some people died instantly.
His friends.
Right. Because
they listed people, the victims.
And it was...
Is Chota and Karube.
Were definitely two of them.
And they listed other names, and we were like, I wonder if...
Some of the names sounded familiar. Yeah.
There's a Momoka, and I'm like...
I'm going to end up going back watching this series again.
Did we meet a Momoka at one point?
So some people died instantly. Like you said, like his friends. And then some people...
They're just gravely injured.
Right. And
like Arisu, his heart stopped for him.
And then when their heart stopped, they were sent to this purgatory place.
Right.
To decide, basically. So now let's talk about within the game though. So what does that mean for
the Chota
Karube and Chota? They were in the game for 3 episodes.
And I guess that's them dying instantly.
Everybody died for just a split second. Mm-hmm. But
those who died faster.
Their hearts kicked back in.
Those who died instantly.
Right. The people that survived, their hearts kicked back in. Except for Anne, hers, they had to resuscitate.
Yeah, because she was the only one. She was like, yeah.
But his friends,
still unconscious.
Like I mean, everybody, their hearts just didn't turn back on.
Turn back on.
We're all machines.
Did you try unplugging and plugging it back in?
Right.
They put them in some rice.
But yeah, because like if you imagine this entire 2 seasons was just a minute for Arisu, his friends were there for 3 episodes. So I guess that really is just them dying instantly.
Mm.
Right. I love that conversation, like when he goes back to the bar and talks to them again at the end of in the finale.
Mm. Jesus Christ, looks like there's a big cut on his neck.
So what then happens to people who decide to stay?
I think they're just like.
I think you die.
And I thought maybe you're just like in a coma.
Yeah, I don't think you can come back to life if you stay. Mm. Like you're
so in real life you die, right?
Right.
Okay.
Because we never saw anyone who decided to stay in the real world.
I wonder those two guys what their names are. And one was Banda. And I don't think that was one of the names that they read off. Mm-hmm. And I mean, clearly those weren't all the names of the people who died.
Right.
They were just like just a few of the victims.
Yeah. So I don't know. All of them maybe names we're supposed to know, but maybe just the ones we know are the only ones we're supposed to know. I don't know.
It's messed up thinking that little boy too, that he was with his parents and they died and he survived.
We saw him with his parents.
But we saw him with his parents at the end.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah, I assume those were his parents.
It looked like he looked like he was with.
And when they were outside in the
so then they would
hospital.
have resuscitated then because they died in the game.
Well, she said did they say the parents died in the game specifically, or just that his parents were dead?
They said I think his parents were there with him, and I think they both died in a game. I think they said that. I think.
Then that shouldn't have been them at the end.
Yeah.
They could have been relatives or somebody.
Maybe. I wanted to ask another question. I'm thinking about like the questions that I had. I'm satisfied with like the two people that decided to stay. If it turns out then they just died in the hospital or whatever, or there on the scene or whatever it was. Because I just feel like you shouldn't be rewarded. Like,
yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
what if
you stay and now you're terrorizing people?
I'd be fine if they're in a coma, but I guess they shouldn't die because it's no different than his friends. Like his friends died, so why didn't they get a choice to stay? But if these guys, hey, I'm gonna stay,
but think about
their mind, their heart could still be like.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know what determines. Like, participating in the games determines whether you die, right? Unless we see, people outside of games, like Naragi shooting Chishi or whatever, right? But, like, the rules of this place is you have to participate in these games. You only get the visa days to rest, whatever. When your visa's up, you got to participate in more games. So, if we're saying playing the game and dying in a game means that then you died in real life, that feels the exact opposite kind of purpose of the place to begin with. Like, that part doesn't really make sense to me. I like in an instance of like, if you told me the purpose was to figure out like how much you want to live, like fight to live, okay. Because in Chota and Karube's case, they chose to die for their friend. Mm-hmm. So I could see that, right? Like, why didn't they get a choice? Mm-hmm. But, like, I'm sure
there's tons of people who wanted to live and just died
because of, like, shitty luck. You rolled the wrong number or other people being terrible. Or, like, you didn't run fast enough. Like, what's her name? Akane's game. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, run out of here. I guess you could say...
You didn't want it enough. So I guess...
I'm like, I got bad knees. What do you mean?
I guess you don't want to live.
What do you mean I don't want it? I got bad knees and a heart condition. Leave me alone. You see what I mean? Like, that... And that's why I'm so happy to be reading the manga, because maybe that type of stuff will be answered. But I do feel like that still leaves...
have the anime to watch. So
this still leaves me with questions that don't quite... square, but it's, knowing that this was based off of something, again, I don't know if they're just doing the best with what the manga gave them, or, maybe I'm missing something.
I just want to say, to me, it's just very straightforward. People who died in games, even if they didn't want to die, are just in a coma. If people give up in the game and want to die, then they die in real life.
Right.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
So you're thinking all those people are just in comas?
Yes.
Maybe, yeah.
That's a lot of comas.
Well, it was a meteor, and you know.
Okay, I guess. All right.
A lot of people were affected.
So when we see them like in, recuperating from this in the hospital and stuff, Queena is like walking down the hall with a nurse and sees her mother and her father, who calls her by her
New name.
her new name.
Which is Hikari.
So that was nice.
And I can't remember, do we know her real name? Because we know Queena. Like, Queena was just like a nickname, right?
And within the game, probably.
Or maybe
yeah.
I think Queena was like her last name. I think
Maybe.
I think all of the names.
Yeah, because
that have
Chishio's name was Chishia in the real,
yeah,
like, doctor.
and Usagi, that was like her family name.
Yeah,
But her
yeah.
first name was whatever her father called her.
Right.
So
Yeah,
like
yeah,
all
yeah.
of their like Alice in Wonderland motif names were just their family names.
There's just, yeah. So, Akane is in a wheelchair. She did lose one of her legs. And she's passing by, and we see a Goonie is like on a ventilator.
Mm-hmm.
Chishia wakes up.
He's in the same hospital room as Niragi.
Niragi.
This is by coincidence, I guess.
And Niragi, like half of his face is bandaged.
Mm-hmm.
So that mirrors like his injuries in the game. They have this conversation about like this second lease on life that they're given and what type of people they're going to be.
And it, like, to me, it felt like, oh, did they like remember what happened?
Wouldn't it be great? Like, and so like we should say it appears that no one did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Usagi and Arisu didn't quite recognize each other.
Right. But they did that thing where it's
Where
like
they had a feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, like, of course, like at that they were practically soulmates by that point.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
you can't just have this heart to heart with someone in this purgatory world, and then like you go back to the real world, and it's like, well, I guess I'll never see you again.
Yeah. Because that was the one thing I wanted the whole remember because like I wanted some people to know each other still.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I wanted Queen
that
and
Anne and what's her name? Because
Lena.
the way she her dying words were,
Let's be
they wanted
friends.
to be friends.
Yeah.
But I must say, I feel like it is possible that these people will end up meeting because of the fact that they're survivors of this thing, you know, and I can't imagine that there were many survivors. Well, they're at this point really the only ones, right?
Well,
like whoever
a lot of people in that hospital were survivors, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I suppose anyone who was alive at the end of the game or would be considered a survivor and chose to come back as. And that's the thing, like, we understand that everybody in this Borderland, these 2 seasons, were from this particular incident.
Right.
It makes me wonder if some of these people, like the Queen of Hearts, for instance, were just there before the meteor. Like maybe she was in some other incident that's unrelated to the meteor.
But that's what I said.
Yeah.
I wanted to know her backstory because I feel like she's been there for a while.
Also, I want to say, throughout a lot of this episode, I even mentioned it at one point. I was like, her hair just looks so much like a wig. Like, it kind of bothers me. But then it showed that scene of her as a psychiatrist. And I'm like, oh, so it is a wig. Because it was her natural hair and, like, a bun.
She looked completely different when she was there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I'm glad that they, like, actually kind of made it obvious.
It is so wiggy. It is such a wig. The dress is banging, though.
Mm-hmm. And she looks nice with the hair. It looks nice with the dress. I just love that hairstyle too. It's called the Hime cut, which means princess. The way the bangs are shaped. It's like an actual hairstyle.
So Usagi meets Arisu at the vending machine, and they have he's like, don't I know you? Haven't we met? And she's like, are you hitting on me? And he's like, maybe? Like, would it be bad if I was? And then he's like, never mind, I'm sorry, that's weird.
I'm glad you acknowledged that. But...
And he starts to walk away. She goes, maybe we met. She started flirting back hard as hell. She was like, dead daddy, what? I'm gonna live life. Yeah. And so they walk down the hall together, and that's how it ends, right?
Yep.
Oh, we saw Anne being resuscitated on the operating table.
We also saw the jester card at the table.
The Joker,
very, very
end. Yes. What the fuck? Like, I didn't read that article that you...
I haven't read it yet.
I didn't read it yet either.
Okay.
But that's the second thing I've seen in the past month that speculated as a season 3.
Because I guess it depends on if the manga ends there.
Right. And I don't know how many... I don't remember how many volumes of the manga there is.
When you keep reading the manga and you get to Chishiya being introduced, you gotta send me pictures.
Oh, I think I already did. I mean, I'll take a picture, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I want to know what he looks like in the manga. Oh my god, I want to know what he looks like in the anime, too. What the fuck was that?
Why are you laughing, weirdo? What was that?
I don't know.
Where'd it come from?
Like one of the neighbors. I think there was a truck out there. I think they're cutting down trees or something.
Jesus Christ. I gotta get the fuck out of here.
I thought it was thunder for a second, but I was like, it's weird that we heard it through the mic and not actually outside.
So I think it's only 6 volumes.
Wow. So yeah, that might be it then.
Yeah, because that's not a lot.
That's not a lot.
Yeah. Look at me. Suddenly I'm a manga expert.
I was going to be like, I'm proud of you. You know your manga now.
That's not a lot.
You know how much a volume is.
Yeah. That's not like 30 issues.
Yeah, because
like
it's
5
like
to
5.
6. Yeah. That's not
but Netflix be like, oh, you making money. All right, let's...
yeah, you know how Netflix
here's some more money, make another one.
A whole new original season, and then everyone's going to hate it.
Is this from our series, Beyond the Promised Neverland, or is it something different? So yeah, that's it.
That's them, because that's Emma.
Does anybody have anything to add?
That's Emma, and there's Ray and Norman in the back.
Okay. Do you want a season 3?
Yeah.
Nope.
Because I was going to say, even if it's bad, I'll probably still watch it.
Oh, look. They serve it up.
Everyone could say it's terrible on the internet and be like, I'm still watching it.
Yeah.
I tend to like things that the internet hates. I've noticed that lately. Every time someone, like, because the game, the High on Life video game that Daddy told me about, I see so many people saying it's not funny, it's just boring. It's like...
And what I've heard from talking to people is there's a mixed fan base of Rick and Morty. So it's like there's people that hate Rick and Morty and they don't think it's funny, and those are the same people that think the game, because it's just the same humor.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, it's dumb, it's not funny.
It's made by like the same person, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the exact same voices and everything.
Yeah. I'm like, I like Rick and Morty, so...
Right, so if you're a fan of Rick and Morty, you're going to like the game.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Are you going to watch The Last of Us, Caleb?
I was thinking about asking if I could sit in on the first episode, but like not be on camera.
Yeah.
I'll just sit on the floor and watch. Because I just want to see how it starts compared to the game, like how similar it is to the game. But...
It's supposed to be like very close to the game. There's a couple things they go off on, but they said the first season is the first game.
Okay. I only saw the beginning of the first game. I don't know.
I don't know anything about John's watched the full gameplay, but I don't know anything about it other than.
Don't say nothing what you know, because I know nothing. Don't say nothing. I don't know what it's about. I don't know the genre. I don't know where it's set.
You're gonna like it.
I don't know nothing.
I just know because I started watching a playthrough of it, but I never got too far. But I know how the game starts, and I remember liking how the game starts. So I'm curious to see how they do it in the show. I want to know if it's the same. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I think regardless, I'm gonna like the game more because I liked how just immersive the game was. Because it's like, there's a difference between watching something play out in a TV show and then playing a game and then experiencing it in the game. Because you're kind of like in control of the character. So I really liked how the game starts. Because it's like...
Don't tell me nothing.
It's like, wow, it feels like you're there.
Don't tell me nothing.
I liked it.
Okay, well, that is it. Thank you for taking this journey with us. I will keep you updated if you want to know how the manga compares to the series. Now I will go read these articles about a season 3. I don't want one. Just because honestly, this last season of this show, particularly these last 2 episodes, elevated this series so high for me in terms of like, you know, my favorites, things that I enjoyed, that I just want it left alone.
Yeah, I feel like I should clarify. I don't know if I want a season 3, but I would watch it.
But
season 3.
That being said,
I would be interested to see what they do with the season 3. But I'm not going to be like, God, I want them to make a season 3. I hope they make a season 3, and I was on this new season.
No,
like I don't care if they stop here.
And if they do, I'm watching it. Like if they serve it up, I'm gonna eat it. And whether or not, and you know, maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe it'll add. But at this point, I just feel like it's perfect the way it is. Leave it alone. No, I am satisfied. So that's it. I mentioned all the stuff that we have coming up at the start of the show, so I wouldn't have to do it now. That I could just say good night. And
I'm sorry. We completely skimmed over this. We talked about briefly in the car ride home from Grandma Grandpa's house, the king, the gun devil, like his reasoning behind why he chose that as his game, just going around shooting people. And I was like, I saw it as him putting people out of their misery.
Yeah, probably.
Like he thought he was like being merciful and just killing these people
instead of having to do this. Yeah,
because of his backstory.
Yeah.
Instead of having to play these games, he's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and kill these people. But that's all I wanted to say. I meant to bring that up earlier when we were talking about them, but I forgot.
Okay, but now, for real, we're done. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing, and we'll talk to you next time.